If you're a massage therapist and you're working on your own, there's a good likelihood that you need to raise rates, and yet somehow you are nervous about doing that. And that's what we're going to dive into in episode 16 is should you raise your rates, how to do that, and how to overcome the fear of raising your rates. I think there are about 5 reasons why massage therapists are nervous about raising their rates. And the first one is a lack of confidence. They are not confident in their skills. They're not confident in the way their office may look. Maybe it's not the best part of town. Maybe it's not fancy like some other fancy places. And that can be detrimental in wanting to raise your rates. But I want to read a quote to you from my first business coach, which is Jennifer Allwood. She actually posted this on social media today. She said, stop saying to charge what you're worth. What she says instead is to make sure you're charging what your product or your service is worth. Let me read that again. What you need to do is make sure you're charging what your product or your service is worth. Now, what is it worth? Is it worth more than you're charging? I talked last week about doing a Groupon. I made a huge mistake with Groupon. I charged $39 for an hour and a half massage, which is why we sold 492. That was a bad idea. And that's what I see a lot of people doing when they heavily discount is a lack of confidence and that clients are not going to come see you. Which rolls me into competition. Competition is the second reason why people are afraid to raise their rates. Now, what are you going to do about competition? Yes, you are going to have competition. I have literally taught barefoot massage to people who worked less than a mile from me at a chiropractor's office. Not only did they work at a chiropractor's office, but he did insurance billing. I was teaching them to do exactly what I do, at least the first level of that. And it made me a little nervous for a minute. And then I realized, competition is a good thing. Number one, it's going to make me better. I knew I was a better therapist at doing barefoot massage than they were because they had just learned and I had been doing it for years. But it made me a better therapist because I realized if I want to compete with them, I don't want to do it at a price point because I was charging more than the chiropractor's office was charging. But they had insurance billing. So I knew that it had to be on the quality of my work and also my personality because a therapist often attracts a clientele base based on, number one, their skills and what they can do for people, what their specialty is, or how they can do sports massage or whatever their niche is. But the client will often stay because of not only results, but because of your personality. So those are the things that you need to lean into. Competition is not a bad thing. Having a massage envy or a hand in stone near you is not a bad thing. You need to make sure that your quality of your work is valuable and people are willing to pay for that. Number 3, lack of business skills. I feel like this is a really big problem in the massage industry, is that many massage therapists are really good at massage. They are not really good at business skills. So sometimes we don't realize everything that's involved in running your own practice. When you have to pay your rent, or if you're buying the building, obviously the mortgage payment, and then taxes if you're buying it. You have your internet, you have your phone that you're paying for, you have your email service provider, you have your linens, your electricity, all the things, right? I could go on and on and on, all the things. All of these things are valuable and they cost money. And therefore, you need to be able to charge enough to make up for that and then also make a living. So you need to do the math. So if you're not a mathy person, please work with somebody, an accountant, who will help you understand that there's a certain dollar amount that you absolutely must charge to stay in business if you want to be profitable. Because if you're charging, say, a discounted rate of $60 an hour because everybody else is charging $70 an hour, but you're actually paying your rent, paying your electricity, paying for all the things, maybe even advertising, when you do all the math, you may discover that you're only making like minimum wage. So you're breaking your body and you're making minimum wage and you had to pay to go to school? Not a good business plan. So make sure that you do the math and you understand that there's a certain minimum viable dollar amount that you need to charge. And when you do the math, a lot of massage therapists are really quite shocked that they're actually not making nearly as much money as they thought they were making. Reason number 4 why people might be afraid, massage therapists might be afraid to raise their rates, is that they have a limited understanding of time and energy investments. You may not understand in the very beginning that there's a physical and oftentimes an emotional toll that takes place with massage therapists, and that's why the burnout level is so high. I mean, what's the average career span of a massage therapist? I've read 3 to 5 years, I've read 5 to 7 years. Whatever it is, 7 years is not very long. That's very different than if you learn to do accounting. What is that career span, like 45 years? You need to make sure that you're charging enough to help provide for you at the end of the road when you're not doing massage anymore. Number 5, reasons why massage therapists might be afraid of raising the rates is that there is perceived client resistance to raising your rates. And I know this is a fact because there's another massage coach that I follow on Instagram who is actually having a webinar right now on how to raise your rates without fear. Now, I'm glad that she's doing that. I think obviously there's a need for that. But why are we afraid that our clients are going to leave us? They might. That is a fact. There are going to be some clients who may not be able to afford you, or maybe they're just going to get irritated with you. There are a couple of ways to approach this, really. There are some clients who genuinely may not be able to afford it. There are other clients who are just going to get irritated with you and say, well, I can get the same thing at XYZ company for less. And they're kind of trying to bully you into giving them a discount on your new prices. I'm here to tell you, you don't want that kind of client. You do not need that kind of atmosphere going on in your own business. Now, if there are clients who genuinely cannot afford to come to you, you have a couple of choices to make. Can you refer them to somebody else, maybe a newer therapist who's not charging as much? Can you refer them to Massage Envy or another company that may provide discounted massages? Can you send them to somebody who's maybe a massage student? Is there some way that you can help them as opposed to just saying, sorry, sayonara, see you later? You can refer your clients who can't pay you out to somebody else with maybe less experience and maybe somebody who charges less. Another option that you have is maybe you can grandfather those people in. Now, I have a client that I've spoken about before. I work on him for 2 hours every single week. And I worked on him for 2 hours twice a week for a very long time. I grandfathered him in when I raised my rates in July because he's a great client. He would like to join my membership, but I don't offer 2-hour massages in my membership. So I give him a deal and I keep him at the same rate, which is $180 for 2 hours. My new rate is $215. Would he pay the $215 an hour or for 2-hour massage? He probably would, actually, but I feel like he's so reliable and he's so good and he comes in to be a guest client for my classes and he provides excellent feedback that I just grandfather him in at that price. Now, do I do this for everyone? Absolutely not. Everybody else is paying full price for their massage. And there have been a couple of people who say I can't come in as often. Okay, that's fine. If you would like a referral, I can send you a referral to somebody who has less experience but might provide the same type of massage. I can do that. And here's the thing. When you raise your rates and you do have some client resistance towards that, you need to decide ahead of time what you're going to do if you do have client resistance. If you know ahead of time what you want to do when you raise your rates and somebody complains about that, then you can just follow a script that you write and say, here's my rules. If you can pay that, that's great. If you can't, I'm sorry to see you go. Now, did I lose clients the last time I raised my rates? Nobody told me that they were leaving because of that. I raised them in July, and I went up $25 for an hour and a half massage, which I feel is pretty substantial. In the past, I've raised my rates like $5 or $7 or maybe even $10. And so I thought I'd really kind of like to work a little bit less. And that's one of the reasons why I raised my rates, because when you raise them, you can lose a few clients, but you're still making the same amount of money. Or maybe the scenario is you don't lose any clients and now you're making a lot more money. And yeah, that works out really well for you. So what do you do if you're afraid to raise your rates? One of the most common mistakes I see when people are going to raise their rates, they make the decision, I'm going to raise my rates even though I'm afraid, is that I feel like there's a lot of over-explaining to be done. A lot of massage therapists will say things like, well, my rent went up, my utilities went up, the cost of massage oil went up, I have to pay for a linen service now, and they're kind of over-explaining. And I used to be like this. I totally get it. But if you think about it, is the grocery store telling you why they're charging you $7 for some free-range eggs? And they are not. Are they telling you why the price of cereal has doubled? No, they are not. They don't care. Buy it or don't buy it. What are you going to do? And I really feel like you're almost doing an injustice to your clients by over-explaining, because you're kind of acting like they're dumb. Well, not literally dumb. Literally dumb people can't talk. But you're acting like they don't have enough brains to figure out why you're raising your rates. Yeah, this may be controversial. I understand that. But if you act like they don't know and you feel the need to over-explain, do you think they might say, well, yeah, I know the price of things are going up. Duh. Maybe that's what they're thinking. I really don't feel like you need to over-explain a lot of things. You don't need to explain anything. I feel like all you need to do is say, on such and such day, I'm raising my rates. My new rate will be da 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 da. If you have trouble paying this rate, if you want to say this, you could say something like, if you have trouble paying this rate, please reach out to me and I can refer you to somebody else. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. Maybe you can say something like, if you want to have a sliding scale, or if you want to have a number of scholarships or something like that, maybe you say, there are 3 people I'd love to keep and I'm afraid they're not going to be able to pay. Maybe those 3 people can get a discount. You can work something out, or maybe you can just refer them. There's a way that I've raised my rates in the past that has worked out really well for me. And what I have done is, in the past, I always raised my rates on January 1st. This past year, I did it in July, like just randomly, July 15th. It seemed like a good idea. I didn't want to wait till August, so I did it July 15th, which also leads me to tell you that you don't have to raise your rates only on January 1st. But I digress. So the way that has worked very well for me in the past when I've been raising my rates is that, say, December 15th, I usually give people a 2 weeks notice or a month's notice. I say on January 1st, the rates will be going up. However, if you schedule your massage in December for January, then you can keep the old rates for your massage in January. That does 2 things. Number 1, it tells people that the rates are going up. And number 2, it gives them an opportunity to save. So if you're raising your rates, say $10 on January 1st, so say you're charging $80 an hour and you're moving up to $90 an hour. On December 31st, that's the last day that they can schedule. So on December 31st, if they schedule by whatever time you determine, through January 30th, 30 days have September, April, June, and November, January 31st, then they can schedule a massage through January at your previous rate of $80 an hour. So number 1, that's telling them that the price is going up. But number 2, it gives you an opportunity to provide an incentive for them to schedule. I love doing this in December and in January because January tends to be a slightly slower month for me. And every time I have done this, my book's filled like that. I had so many more people schedule, and often people that I hadn't seen in quite some time. When they think that they're going to get a deal, which, I mean, it is because it's not the new price, but it's still the same price as the old price. So it's not really a discount, but kind of it is. Does that even make sense? So I have found that I hit my table. I have found that works really well for me. And I did that in this past summer too, when I raised my rates on July 15th. I told them on June 15th, I'm raising my rates. July 15th, any massage that you schedule through July, I only gave them 2 weeks this time, any massage that you schedule through July will be at the old rate, and any massage that you schedule after July will be at the new rate. And magically, my book filled up to capacity. Now, one thing that I do also is that I have a couple of clients who have recurring appointments. If they're in the membership, their rate stays the same because that's the deal that I made with them. But if they have appointments every single month, they've like scheduled out for a year, which I have a number of people who have done that. I make sure that they know that, hey, I know you have these appointments scheduled. You have these next 10 appointments scheduled that will be at the new rate. Are you comfortable with that, or do you want to change your scheduling at all? And in each instance where I've done that, the client was totally fine with paying the new rate. Now, am I special? Of course I'm special. You're special too. We're a good massage therapist, right? That's why we're in business. But we're not so good oftentimes at charging the value of our product or our service. And that's what I'm here to help you with today. So I'd like to encourage you to think about the reasons why, if you're afraid to raise your rates, what is the real reason behind that? Do you feel like you're not worthy? It has nothing to do with your worth, right? Your worth does not come from what you do. Is your massage worth the price you're paying and the price you want to pay? Are you afraid of competition? Do you just not know how to do the math to figure out if you're making the money? Do you know that you're not going to be able to do massage probably forever? Some people do. Some people do it for a really long time. I've been doing massage for 25 years. I'm unusual. I have some friends that have been doing it a really long time. We all do barefoot massage. And I know there are some hands-on therapists that can do massage for many, many years, but that is the exception to the rule. So understand that at some point in time, you're going to need to make money in another way, probably, if you kill yourself, by working too much. So understand that there's a limit to the number of hours that you can work, and there might be a limit to the length of your career if you don't charge enough. And yes, you may have client pushback, but your massage is probably worth the price you're charging. So raise your rates. Don't be afraid to do it. You may lose some clients. You may not. You may be as busy as usual. What are you going to do? I mean, do you want to live in fear? You don't want to live in fear. There is no reason to be afraid to raise your rates. Everyone knows that the price of everything has gone up a lot. I could go over stats like housing has gone up like 400% in the last 20 years. Okay, I'm not charging 400 times the amount that I charged 25 years ago for massage, but it's okay. It is okay to raise your rates. Please don't be afraid of that. Just tell your clients that you're going to be raising your rates. Here's the new date. Here's the new rate. Please let me know if you have any questions or something like that. I hope this was helpful to somebody. I feel like there are people that need to hear this, that it's okay for you to raise your rates. You do not need to be afraid of raising your rates. You may lose some clients. You may not lose some clients. But there are always people willing to pay what they perceive to be of great value. I mean, look at Louis Vuitton handbags. I have seen a leather expert who takes apart purses and looks at the quality of them. A Louis Vuitton handbag is not worth any more than a $30 leather handbag that you get from Macy's on discount. It's not worth physically anymore. but the perceived value is much higher. Does that speak to you at all? Your value of your massage is worth maybe the price of a Louis Vuitton bag. Maybe not. But your value, remember, is not based on you. If you're worthy, it is based on whether your massage is valuable. And make your massage valuable by giving people results, by making them feel better, by relaxing them, by de-stressing them, by increasing the range of motion, whatever it is, whatever your specialty is. Study that, get better at that, and be confident that your massage is worth the price that you charge. And do not be afraid to raise your rates. If you need help raising your rates and you want to just kind of review what I've said, I'm going to create a free download, a PDF for you. And I don't have the link for that yet because I haven't made it yet, but I'm going to. And that will be available at the bottom in the show notes. So make sure you click there because that will be available for you in short order. I hope this was helpful for you. And as per usual, thanks for listening. I appreciate you, and keep your massage momentum. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Thanks for joining us today. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. Leaving a review helps other massage therapists find the podcast too. I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment and let me know what topics you'd like for me to cover in future episodes. Your feedback is as valuable to me as massage is to your clients. Take care, stay inspired, and keep embracing your massage momentum. We will catch you in the next episode.